We have a little more information regarding the whistleblower complaint that was filed against Donald Trump and a conversation he had with a foreign leader where he allegedly made some sort of promise. Now, the whistleblower, who has not been identified, is part of the intelligence community, and this individual found the phone call troubling enough and the alleged promise troubling enough to file a formal whistleblower complaint. Now, after that was done, there's been a lot of back and forth about whether or not the director of national intelligence did the right thing in withholding details of this complaint from congressional lawmakers. But today we found out that Ukraine is involved, allegedly involved. We still don't know too many specifics about what happened in these exchanges between Donald Trump and the leader of Ukraine, but I do want to give you some of the details we do know so far. So 2.5 weeks before the complaint was filed, Trump spoke with the Ukrainian president, a comedian and political newcomer who was elected in a landslide in May. Now that call is already under investigation by House Democrats, according to the Washington Post, who are examining whether Trump and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, sought to manipulate the Ukrainian government into helping Trump's re-election campaign. Lawmakers have demanded a full transcript and a list of participants on the call. Now, after this story broke by the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal broke a story indicating that on at least 8 separate occasions, Donald Trump pressured the Ukrainian government to conduct some sort of investigation into Joe Biden's son. Now, Joe Biden's son was employed as a board member for an oil company in Ukraine. And so it appears, based on reporting right now, that Trump was looking to get some help from Ukraine to find dirt or dig up dirt on Joe Biden's son. And remember, Donald Trump is seeking re-election, so this is not something that you should be doing. This is illegal. You shouldn't be working with foreign governments to help you in your campaign. So Trump, in a July phone call, repeatedly pressured the president of Ukraine to investigate Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's son, urging the president about 8 times to work with Rudy Giuliani, his personal lawyer, on the probe. I'm gonna go to a timeline to kind of help people really understand and visualize how this all went down. But I do wanna get your thoughts before we go to that video.
Well, I mean, he's done it before. He sought the Russians' help to win the first election, so now he's just moving over to Ukraine to get help. I think it'd be really funny if we found out that the whistleblower was Melania. And you know what I'm saying? She's just trying to get him out of there or something, you know, like.
I really want my husband to be best.
Yeah. Please get them out. No, but it's you know what I found also very troubling was before we found out it was Ukraine, there was a list going around. And because this guy really functions, he's, you know, a lot of people said we want an outsider, we want someone without experience. But you start to see what someone without experience does. They talk to other governments, revealing secrets sometimes, asking for favors sometimes. And the list included, I remember people were saying it could have, before we knew it was Ukraine, and we still don't know for sure, but they were saying it could be Ukraine, it could be Israel, it could be North Korea, it could be Russia. We don't know who he gave some information to, he's been talking to illicitly. So that shows you that this guy really doesn't know what he's doing.
I think it's a mixed bag. I think that he either doesn't know what he's doing in some cases, or he knows exactly what he's doing, but might not know that he's breaking the law, which is not an excuse. But in this case, I mean, after that lengthy Mueller investigation, he knows that working with a foreign country to help benefit your campaign is unlawful. Yeah. That was the whole point of the investigation. So again, look, this stuff is not, in my mind, it's not confirmed yet. You know, we don't know the extent to which an alleged deal was made. What we do know is that there are individuals who are informed on what's going on behind the scenes, and they're speaking to the press about this investigation. At the same time, remember, congressional lawmakers still don't have the details of that whistleblower report. The director of national intelligence has decided that he doesn't want to share this information with Congress. His name is Joseph McGuire, and he alleges that he spoke to the Justice Department, the same Justice Department under William Barr, who likes to protect Donald Trump, and they informed him that he doesn't need to go and speak to Congress about the whistleblower complaint. Okay, But the inspector general is very much concerned, and he is the one who has kind of come forward to tell congressional lawmakers what's really going on, right? Yeah. So the whole issue here is, did Donald Trump tell Ukrainian politicians that he would withhold foreign aid from the country unless they did an investigation into Joe Biden's son? That is what the allegation is here. And to help you understand the timeline of how this all allegedly went down, let's take a look at this next video. It's Alisyn Camerota explaining everything in detail.
Giuliani and President Trump spoke with the Ukrainians. The president threatened to withhold $250 million in military aid to Ukraine. Weeks later, 3 House committees launched investigations into whether the president and Giuliani were pressuring the Ukrainians to help Mr. Trump's re-election campaign. A few days after that, the Trump administration abandoned the effort to withhold military aid. And now, CNN has learned the White House and Justice Department advised the intelligence chief to withhold the whistleblower's complaint from Congress.
So the House Democrats, specifically individuals in the House Intelligence Committee, are moving forward with the investigation. They want to know exactly what that whistleblower report contained. But at the same time, I mean, there are so many investigations being done on Donald Trump, and it just feels like nothing ever gets anywhere because they're unwilling to take it to the next step, right?
And I think that's absolutely right. And kind of just to build off what you were saying earlier, I think Donald Trump knows what he's doing. It's a fact that we won't hold him accountable. He also knows that nothing's going to happen, so why not continue to break the law? And we see this kind of relationship he's built with Russia, and we know that Russia and Ukraine have had strained relationships to begin with. So to be able to, join forces and bully up and let me see if I can strong arm Ukraine by withholding aid, and who knows what else he told Ukraine's president in that call. But we know that he doesn't see any ramifications because we've given him no reason to think there will be any ramifications or consequences for his behavior.
Yeah, and he's also had, I guess this week there was a couple of appeals they were trying to get his taxes. He appealed that. He's if he's got deep pockets and he can keep appealing stuff, it's going to be, it will take some in the Republican Party to open their eyes and go, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but for them to go, wait a minute, this is actually, it is an attack on the America and American democracy. Because really what he's doing is, by playing this game, making a call and telling another guy to strong arm his own government, to investigate something. It's just basically, it is the playbook of a dictator, right? So it is going to take someone in the Republican Party or something to happen that's undeniable. I mean, this is just an open. They're doing it in the open, right?
They are doing it in the open, and he is, to Adrian's point, he's definitely emboldened by the fact that he hasn't been held accountable at all by the Democratic Party. They're incredibly weak. Nancy Pelosi specifically, who refuses to even open an impeachment inquiry, right? And so some people might argue, all this nonsense about Russia, what's the point of this? It's not gonna go anywhere. But it's not just about Russia, okay? These are new allegations that aren't even related to Russia. This is about Ukraine and potentially having a US president try to dig up dirt about his political opponent for his re-election campaign using a foreign government. That's illegal, he's not supposed to do that. But there's also a litany of other issues, including the obstruction of justice, which again, if you read the Mueller report, is clearly outlined in that report. There's the fact that he used his charitable foundation to enrich himself. There's so many different, the hush money payments, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing in my mind that would, even if it's clear cut, it's obvious, the evidence is right in front of you. There is nothing that will push Democratic leadership to have the courage to do the right thing, and that's pathetic. And the same goes for Republicans. Republicans are protecting their tribe, they're protecting Trump, and they refuse to hold him accountable because they're worried about their own political careers. Every Republican politician who has spoken out against Trump has paid a political price for that. So it's about the party, it's about the Republican voters and what they're complicit in. And it's really pathetic and sad. One thing I wanted to clarify though is Michael Atkinson, who is the Inspector General. He answered some questions by members of Congress, and while he says that it is not his right to share the details of the report, the one thing that he did tell them is that it wasn't one call. So Michael Atkinson actually said that there were several conversations between Donald Trump and the leader of Ukraine However, he can't get into the details of all of those calls or what the or what the whistleblower's report said. Now, Donald Trump, though, has been asked some questions about this, and let's take a look at what he has to say.
It's a partisan whistleblower. I shouldn't even have information. I've had conversations with many leaders that are always appropriate.
On that point, did you discuss Joe Biden, his son, or his family with the leaders?
It doesn't matter what I discussed, but I will say this. Somebody ought to look into Joe Biden's statement because it was disgraceful, where he talked about billions of dollars that he's not giving to a certain country unless a certain prosecutor's taken off the case. So somebody ought to look into that, and you wouldn't because he's a Democrat. I don't know the identity of the whistleblower. I just hear it's a partisan person, meaning it comes out from another party.
Was there Joe Biden during the conversation?
I don't want to talk about any conversation.
So what he's referring to is a prosecutor who was looking into the oil company that Joe Biden's son was working at. And this prosecutor was so corrupt that politicians in Ukraine voted him out, right? And the government of Ukraine looked into these allegations against Joe Biden's son, alleging, there might have been a conflict of interest when it came to this prosecutor, and they actually cleared him of it. So Donald Trump, let's not allow Republicans, and specifically Donald Trump, to distract us from what the heart of this issue is. It is not Joe Biden, someone who I have no love for, by the way. It has everything to do with the fact that he could be working with a foreign government to dig up dirt on his political opponent, which is illegal. It is a crime. He was investigated for that in the context of the Russia investigation. This is the country we're living in,
well,
right?
First of all, he looked horrible. And
when doesn't he?
Well, presidency is supposed to age you, but I mean, he's just like, he looked horrible.
Yeah, there wasn't much to start
I'm not that pretty, but I mean, he looks worse than. I mean, I don't know. He looks guilty. He looks guilty and stressed.
He looks like he's using my foundation.
He's using your.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what.
The color's not right.
The thing with what you were just saying about what he brought up, I was just hearing somebody analyze the fact that I guess Biden in some speech referenced that whole the investigation from the Ukrainian prosecutor, and I guess that's circulating now amongst a lot of conservatives saying, look, Biden's admitting to this. So basically, it's a conspiracy. They've taken that, turned it into a conspiracy theory. And he's trying to deflect yet again. And they're going into, there was a congressman who was saying, oh, this sounds like another one of those deep state type things. The thing about the deep state and the crooked media and the fake news, all this stuff. All right, let's say there is at some point someone's out to get you. Maybe someone's not on your side. Maybe you see that. But if every time you do something that does not seem right, and you go, no, it's not me, it's them. Every time someone criticizes, as a comedian, I'm a comedian. If every time people keep criticizing me, I go, well, they're obviously on Kevin Hart's payroll. They're trying to get me, obviously. I mean, it's like at some point you got to sit there and go, we've done something wrong, and he never does that. I know that's politics. You're not supposed to, but this guy's never. At one point, just said, look, I was wrong, or I'm wrong, or maybe this is wrong, or he just deflects. And moves on. And
he also, he self-incriminates all the time on Twitter. I mean, his Twitter storm just last night, I woke up and it was like whoosh, nothing but defensive, angry tweets, which make him look even more guilty, right? So look, again, we need to know more detail as to what took place during those multiple conversations. We need to have some confirmation that he was trying to work with a foreign government to dig up dirt on a political opponent. Again, none of this stuff is really verified yet. But what I do know is that even if it is verified, what's happened time and time again is he hasn't faced any consequences for it. So, I mean, can you imagine how brazen you need to be to undergo the kind of investigation he just went through with Mueller, and then turn around and do the exact same thing that you were accused of with Russia?
This is such the life he leads. And a lot of Americans of privilege lead this exact same life where they continue to engage in this behavior. And we've recently seen that with the Me Too movement, where we find out that litanies of women have come against these men and brought all the evidence, and they are still in their jobs and positions. Trump is just reflective of the fact that our society does not hold certain individuals accountable, but lets them stay in their position regardless of whether they're following the rules, the law, what may have you. And we have an accountability problem, and that's it.
Absolutely.
And I think he placed the call like just a few days after the Mueller report. I mean, he didn't even give it a
moment to breathe.
See, he doesn't even have to try to hide. That's how egregious our system is.
I keep saying he's kind of like the American Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi had so many yes people around him that he just hadn't heard no in a long time. This guy was born into privilege, has heard yes his whole life. And so, like you said, he just keeps repeating whatever, even if somebody says to him, I mean, there should be somebody there that goes, listen, there's gotta be, if you really wanna try and get this message to the Ukrainian guy, there's gotta be another way to do it. You shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, well, he'll ask that person to resign.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Like he surrounds himself with yes men, and there is a price to pay when you do that because you have no one challenging you and you're gonna slip up. And we all know Donald Trump is messy as hell.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.